Aloha mai kako, and welcome to the Ho'ohana quadrant of ʻIkePikou. And this is probably my favorite quadrant in this module because we get to do a lot of hands-on activities online, but still fun. And I hope it's fun for you all too. In this quadrant, we will be covering the sacredness and the meaning of a kihe. A kihe is a shoulder covering or cloak that is often tied on one shoulder. A kihe is also used for ceremonies or special occasions such as hemokula or graduations. And also when haumana from halau or dance schools, uniki, and complete a process that have earned their stripes to move on to their next phase of elevation. When someone receives their kihe and during the kihe ceremony, it is tied on their shoulder. There are many thoughts that recipients often think about, such as moments that resonated with them throughout their time in a program or school, challenges they have managed to overcome, relationships that they were able to build and foster, their gratitude for their kumu and their gratitude toward any higher being that allowed them to participate, learn, and enjoy in their experience up to the point of earning their kihe. It is truly a privilege to earn and own a kihe because it symbolizes the work that was put into acquiring it. Therefore, as significant as a kihe is to its owner, it is the role of its owner to malama or take care of it. Traditional codes of conduct when inheriting the responsibility of a kihe is to be careful not to step over it and to store it in a safe place for special occasions. To use it as a tablecloth or a window curtain is a very inappropriate ways to use a kihe. That's a big, big no-no. There is a sacredness to having a kihe, as we talked about. It's not commonly used as a pareo. It's not commonly used as a lava. A kihe is very sacred to you, and it is only yours. So we should malama our kihe and we should respect it. So we must uphold that respect for our kihe and malama it properly. Next, we have a mele kihe that was composed by Kumukulani Kuloloia. And in this mele, in the lyrics, we learn how significant a kihe is because it is our tie to our higher being. It's the knowledge that we were able to learn and acquire, and it's a representation of that experience. So this is how the mele goes, as was taught to me by Kumu Kalani Kuloloia, and I am so honored to be able to share this mele with you all. So, kihe au ike kihe, ahui au na Hawaii e, pale kana aloha mai. Na kupu na kaupo ohiwi na ki ia pa'a. Ke akua makana au aho mai la ka ike la mai luna mai e. So normally when this mele kihe is being performed during a kihe ceremony, we sing this mele until every person has their kihe tied on their shoulder. It truly is a beautiful mele, and I hope you get a chance to read through the lyrics in Hawaiian and in English. Then we get to our kapala designing section, and this is my favorite section. So here we will get started on thinking about a design. Remember that you have the whole duration of the program to produce your final design in kihe. However, let's take this time here at ʻIkePikou to get those creative juices going. Below, you will find a slide deck that includes various Native Hawaiian plants and botanicals that were commonly used to represent themes or values from a Kuana ʻike Hawaii or Native Hawaiian perspective. The link to the slide deck is there. And as we take a look at the slide deck, you will see so many varieties of Hawaiian native plants. And these are just some examples. You don't have to use these, but each plant in the slide has some descriptions of their values and their meaning, such as the koa tree, which symbolizes bravery, boldness, fearlessness, valiant, courageous. The kukui, which symbolizes enlightenment, to learn, knowledge, intelligence, wisdom, and light. The a'ali'i plant symbolizes strength, steadfast resilience, and tenacity. There is also in Olelo no Eau of the a'ali'i. He a'ali'i ku makani maiau a ohe makani nana e kulai. I am a wind-resisting a'ali'i. There is no wind that can blow me down. It's one of my favorites. But take a look at the slide deck, get to learn about the plants, the native plants and botanicals. And as you get to the end of the slide deck, you will see some examples of people who have carved out their stamps and examples of those stamps applied to their kihei. Beneath the link to the slide deck is a mo'olelo about the ohia lehua tree. And this mo'olelo is here to give us an example of how plants have stories as well, what their background is in Mo'aukala Hawaii or Hawaiian stories. And at the end of the mo'olelo, there is also a superstition that is shared that relates to the ohia lehua tree. Next, we have a read and view activity. Please take a look at the following reading and videos below to use as resources to help you discover the possibilities of creating a design for your kapala, as well as learning about the art of traditional kapala designing and kapa making. Kapa is a type of bark cloth that is made from the vauke plant. The bark of the vauke tree was stripped, soaked in water, and laid on a kuakuku, or a stone tablet, and then beaten with a hohoa, or a wooden beater. Traditional dyes were made from resources of the Aina, such as alaya or clay, and ash from burnt kukui nut, just to name a few examples. Other examples can come from the popolo berries, which are very small itty bitty berries that have a very purple hue to it when you crush them, and that can be used as dye as well. Our reading comes from ulukau.org, and it goes in depth about the process of Native Hawaiian clothing with special reference to the making, the decorating, and the using of kapa. We also have 4 videos. The first is from Manaola, the well-known Hawaiian fashion designer, and what inspires him to produce his designs. The second video we have is Auntie Dalani Tanehi, and she is a traditional practitioner of kapa making, and she talks about how to prep vauke and what was it like to acquire traditional tools to prep and make kapa. The third video is the first episode of the Nawe Ho'olu'u series, provided by Halau Kekuhi, which is a very well-known halau from Hawaii. And they compiled a series of videos about how they harvest, prep, and make their dyes for their hula garment. And if you're interested in learning more, I left a link to the series, which you can watch the whole playlist of how they prep and make their dyes. A final video is the kihei ceremony for the graduates of the 2018 John A. Burns School of Medicine. And really this video was added as an example of what other schools have done in their kihei ceremony and how other students felt inspired to create their own kapala designs for the kihei, whether it be family, whether it be through their practice, whether it be through their studies and their cohort as well. So you can take a look at that. What's also special and interesting to note is that as a cohort, they decided on one design to apply to each of their kihei to represent their class. Our final activity for the Ho'ohana quadrant is we get to start designing. There is a sketch pad that's provided in the quadrant, and we can start drafting and doodling and brainstorming about what we may want to start creating for our kapala design. Remember that this is just a draft, and you can always modify it over time. But I look forward to all the designs that you all come up with. And if you have any questions or concerns, as always, please let me know. I did leave some helpful notes and some tips on how to navigate the sketchpad. Have fun, go for broke, and I will see you guys at Ho'opuka. Aloha.